This is the story of how America's hottest housing market became its fastest cooling one, and why one governor is pointing fingers at Washington while his own state burns. Las Vegas went from bidding wars and cash offers to price cuts and empty open houses in under 3 years. The median home just hit a record $485,000. Yet properties sit on the market for over 2 months. Sales have dropped 14%. And here's the number that should terrify you. There are now 97% more sellers than buyers crowding this market. Governor Joe Lombardo calls it a crisis. Letters to the president, impassioned speeches, a $133 million housing bill. All of it came from his office. But here's what nobody's talking about. Every single tenant protection measure that crossed his desk? Vetoed. So what's actually unfolding in Las Vegas right now? And why does the governor keep blaming federal land? Promise. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 warning signs that reveal whether Las Vegas is truly crashing, or just correcting, the numbers that will shock you, the political games being played, and the one group that critics say the governor refuses to touch. Let's get into it. During the pandemic, Las Vegas caught fire. Californians fled their state in record numbers. 47,376 of them landed in Nevada in 2021 alone. Los Angeles County emptied into Clark County because the math made sense. Homes in Vegas cost about 49% less than LA, and Nevada charges 0 state income tax compared to California's nation highest 13.3%. That migration wave created a feeding frenzy. Prices shot up fast. May 2022 brought an all-time record, $482,000 for the median single-family home. Picture a young family from LA. They sold their cramped 2-bedroom, packed up the U-Haul, and drove 4 hours east to Vegas with dreams of a backyard and a garage. They were the American dream in motion. Now, that same family is watching their equity evaporate as homes sit unsold for months. The Californians aren't flooding in anymore. Just 38,970 made the move in 2024. The feeding frenzy is over. When the migration slows, the music stops. Las Vegas was built on people running toward it. When they stop running, everything that went up must come down. But wait, it gets darker. Then the interest rate shock hit everything at once. Mortgage rates climbed from roughly 3.22% in January 2022 all the way to 7.79% by October 2023. Governor Lombardo himself spelled out what that meant in real dollars when he wrote to President Biden. When Biden took office in 2021, the median Vegas home cost $342,995, and the monthly payment came to $1,363. By January 2024, the median price jumped to $460,000, and those higher rates pushed the monthly payment to $2,808. More than double for the same house. Think about the retiree on a fixed income who bought in 2021. Their neighbor's identical house now costs twice as much per month to own. The retiree's technically sitting on gains, but they can't sell, because where would they go? They're trapped by the same rates that are crushing everyone else. The market responded exactly how anyone would expect. 2023 saw only 29,069 homes sell in Las Vegas, the lowest annual sales volume since the 2008 housing crash, and Wells Fargo economist Jackie Benson doesn't expect relief. Rates aren't expected to fall below 6%, period. And then the dominoes started falling. Fast forward to late 2025, and the data paints a stark picture. Active single-family listings have surged to 7,850 homes, up 36.8% year over year. Condo listings climbed even higher at 56.1%. Available home inventory has nearly doubled. Sales cratered in the opposite direction. Only 1,835 single-family homes sold in August 2025, down 14.2% from the year before. Properties just sit there now. Average days on market reached 63 in October 2025, up 17 days from the prior year. Only 56.9% of homes sold within 30 days, down from 62.5% a year earlier. For the investor who flipped houses in 2021, they're now holding properties like hot potatoes, watching carrying costs eat into their margins every single month. Sellers are getting desperate. Nearly a third of listings are cutting their asking price. 30.2% of Nevada homes took price reductions in October 2025. Redfin ran the numbers and declared Las Vegas has 96.7% more sellers than buyers, the second largest buyer's market shift in the entire country, behind only Denver. July 2025 brought the official designation. Las Vegas had become the fastest cooling housing market in the United States. This wasn't a correction. This was a reckoning. Here's the number that should keep every politician up at night. Only 6.1% of single-income earners can afford the median-priced home in southern Nevada. That's according to the UNLV Leid Center for Real Estate. 94% of people earning a single income are priced out entirely. Affording the median home requires approximately $119,000 in annual income at current mortgage rates, and saving for a down payment at current income and price levels, it would take Las Vegas Valley residents 17 years. Think about that young family again. Not the ones who moved from California, but the ones who grew up here. The Vegas natives. Their parents bought homes for $100,000 in the 90s. Now their kids are staring at 17 years of saving just to afford a down payment. Maurice Page, executive director of the Nevada Housing Coalition, summed up the frustration. You need an average salary of $70,000 just to afford rent in Nevada. That makes no sense. Clark County's Community Housing Administrator Dagny Stapleton dropped the real bomb. The region is short 80,000 housing units for residents below area median income. 80,000 families with nowhere affordable to go. But here's where it gets political. Enter Governor Joe Lombardo with a diagnosis that might surprise you. The Republican governor turned housing affordability into one of his signature issues. But his explanation for the problem focuses somewhere unexpected. His January 2025 State of the State address laid it out directly. The root cause of the crisis comes from Nevada's families and builders being held back by the federal government's reluctance to release the land needed for housing. With over 80% of the state under federal control, bureaucratic delays have driven up costs and shut down opportunities. 80%. The federal government controls 80% of Nevada. That's Lombardo's central argument. Lombardo made it personal in his April 2024 letter to President Biden. He wrote that Nevada had reached a stage where the housing shortage and inflation were tearing at the very fabric of the state. He said he and his wife, Donna, are grandparents who feel firsthand the struggle young families face with housing costs. He put his chips on a federal solution. January 2025 brought an announcement that he'd spoken with President Trump on multiple occasions about releasing more federal land. On the state level, he pushed through his biggest win, Assembly Bill 540, the Nevada Housing Access and Attainability Act, $133 million for attainable housing. But here's where the story gets complicated. At the same time Lombardo championed housing affordability, he systematically vetoed every tenant protection measure the legislature sent his way. Assembly Bill 298 in 2023 would have capped rent increases for seniors and disabled residents. Lombardo called it needlessly heavy-handed. Senate Bill 335, eviction protections, vetoed. Senate Bill 371 would have let local cities enact their own rent regulations, vetoed. 2025 brought more of the same. Assembly Bill 280, a 5% rent cap for seniors, vetoed. Assembly Bill 283, eviction reforms, vetoed. Assembly Bill 201, sealing eviction records, vetoed. His January 2025 address made the position crystal clear. He continues to hold the line against policies that would take Nevada in the wrong direction, like rent control. So who's actually buying all these homes? Lombardo's critics argue he's ignoring a massive piece of what's actually happening: the role of corporate investors. The numbers tell a striking story. Since 2000, investors purchased 131,710 homes in the Las Vegas Valley, and 77% of those properties have never been resold. They're being held as rentals. Approximately 15% of Clark County's entire housing stock now belongs to investors. In North Las Vegas, that figure rises to 25%. The largest single homeowner in Clark County isn't a person at all. It's Pretium Partners, a New York hedge fund operating through their subsidiary Progress Residential. They own over 3,190 homes. Think about that. A hedge fund from Manhattan owns more homes in Las Vegas than many entire neighborhoods contain. And they're not selling, they're renting. Every home a corporation buys is one more home a family can't. And when 77% of investor purchases never come back to market, that's not investment, that's extraction. That's housing stock being permanently removed from the ownership market and converted to rental income for Wall Street. And the final warning sign? It's the most terrifying of all. Las Vegas isn't just cooling fast. It's also uniquely vulnerable to swings in either direction. Construction Coverage ran the analysis and found Las Vegas is the most volatile large housing market in the United States, with greater than 40% probability of experiencing 5% or larger price drops in any given period. Florida Atlantic University and Florida International University conducted a joint study ranking Las Vegas as the fourth most overvalued housing market nationally, carrying a 37.55% premium over historical averages. 74% of Las Vegas zip codes, that's 3 out of every 4 neighborhoods, saw per square foot price declines year over year, according to the UNLV Lead Center for Real Estate. The luxury market above $1 million got hit especially hard. Listings jumped 42% in July 2025, and prices in that segment dropped 12 to 18%. Redfin's chief economist Daryl Fairweather observed that Vegas had a big construction boom during the pandemic and remains oversupplied. Chen Zhao, Redfin's head of economics research, added that Las Vegas feels affordability pressures and elevated mortgage rates more acutely than many other markets, partly because the city's economy depends on a slowing tourism industry. That tourism point matters a lot. Visitor volume dropped 7.3% year-to-date through mid-2025. For a city where tourism forms the economic backbone, that decline ripples through everything. Senior economist Anthony Smith at Realtor.com connected those dots. A metro area so heavily dependent on leisure and hospitality sees weaker tourism directly affect local job stability, household income, and ultimately the pool of prospective homebuyers. So is Las Vegas actually crashing? The answer shifts depending on who's talking. Local real estate agent Steve Hawks put it this way: the Las Vegas market isn't crashing, but correcting. Sellers price homes like it's still 2021 while buyers think about 2024, and they'll eventually meet somewhere in the middle. Evidence backs up that view. The structural problems that caused the 2008 crash simply don't exist today. Foreclosure rates hold at just 0.7% of mortgage holders. Distressed sales represent less than 1% of transactions. But Nevada now ranks 5th worst nationally for foreclosure rates, with filings up 20% year over year. The warning signs have experts paying close attention. So what does this mean for you? If you're a buyer, this is a buyer's market. 97% more sellers than buyers means you have leverage. Negotiate hard. Don't accept the first price. Properties are sitting for 63 days on average. Use that. If you're a seller, price realistically from day one. Nearly a third of sellers are cutting prices. Don't join that statistic. The days of 2021 pricing are over. If you're a renter, watch the political landscape. The 2026 election cycle approaches, and tenant protections will be on the ballot, directly or indirectly. Your vote matters more than ever. The Las Vegas real estate story of 2024 and 2025 runs on contradictions. Record high prices coexist with plummeting sales. A governor champions housing solutions while vetoing tenant protections. A market cools rapidly while avoiding anything resembling the 2008 collapse. Governor Joe Lombardo staked his housing legacy on federal land releases and market-based solutions. Whether that represents prudent free market policy or missed opportunities to protect vulnerable renters will likely dominate the debate as Nevada approaches the 2026 election cycle. What we know for certain is this: Las Vegas transformed from America's hottest housing market to its fastest cooling one in under 3 years. 94% of single-income earners can't afford to buy, 17 years of saving to afford a down payment, 80,000 units short of what's needed. The governor says Washington is to blame. His critics say he's looking in the wrong direction. And somewhere in between, millions of Nevadans are just trying to figure out how they're going to afford a place to live. But here's what they don't want you to know. The forces crushing Las Vegas didn't start in Nevada. They started in Florida. And the same playbook, the pandemic migration, the corporate investors, the political stalemates, is now playing out in Texas. In our next video, we expose the 3 Texas cities showing the exact same warning signs that Vegas ignored 2 years ago. If you own property in Austin, Houston, or San Antonio, you're going to want to see this. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.